professional actors, you go in and just jump in and do it, best of your ability.
Let me say, can I say one thing?
please.
To me, the great Stanley Kubrick was an actor's enemy. And I can point to movies that he's done, the worst performances I've ever seen in movies.
At 94 years old, Robert Duvall finally spoke openly, naming people he had stayed silent about for decades. In a brutally honest moment that shocked fans, the Oscar-winning actor revealed the 4 co-stars he truly hated working with. He complained about their big egos, their laziness, and their lack of respect for acting. So, who could these actors be that have made Robert Duvall's list? Join us as we uncover the 7 actors Robert Duvall hated the most and the shocking reason behind it. Number 7. Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick is often praised as one of cinema's greatest directors, but not everyone admired his methods. Among his strongest critics was Oscar-winning actor Robert Duvall, a man known for his blunt honesty and deep respect for the art of acting. In an unusually candid interview, Duvall did not hesitate to call Kubrick an actor's enemy, a remark that shook the film world. Duvall's main complaint was Kubrick's obsession with endless retakes. The director was infamous for demanding dozens, sometimes even hundreds, of takes for a single scene. Supporters believed this created unforgettable performances, but Duvall disagreed. How does he know the difference between the first take and the 70th? He asked. To him, Kubrick's approach wasn't about artistry, it was about control. Instead of collaborating, Kubrick wore actors down, stripping them of their own creativity and humanity. Duvall pointed directly to The Shining and A Clockwork Orange as examples of Kubrick's failure to respect actors. While many saw Jack Nicholson's and Malcolm McDowell's performances as iconic, Duvall called them hollow, forced results of exhaustion rather than true artistry. Shelley Duvall's experience on The Shining seemed to confirm his view. She was pushed through 127 takes of a single scene, leaving her emotionally drained. Unlike her, Robert Duvall refused to soften his words.
We mooned each other, mooned everybody. Some woman turned to me and said, Mr. Duvall, you're fine, but she turned to her friend.
For him, respect was the core issue. A great director should inspire, not dominate, guide, not break down. He had worked with strong directors like Francis Ford Coppola, Robert Altman, and Sidney Lumet, men who challenged him, but also treated him as a partner. That, he believed, was the difference between genuine greatness and destructive obsession. By speaking out, Duvall became one of the very few Hollywood figures willing to question Kubrick's legend. While most actors, even those who suffered under his direction, chose careful words, Duvall's candor cut through the myth. He reminded audiences that behind every masterpiece are real people, and in Kubrick's case, the price of genius was, in his view, simply too high. Their story might not have had a happy ending, yet another tense confrontation was still on the horizon. Let's find out who's next. Number 6. Pauline Kael. Not all of Robert Duvall's sharpest criticisms were directed at directors or other actors. Some were aimed at the people who judged from the sidelines, the critics. Among them, one name stood out to him, Pauline Kael, one of the most famous film reviewers of the 20th century. While many saw her as a powerful voice in cinema, Duvall never forgave what he felt was her failure to truly understand his craft. In a 2017 interview, after years of holding it in, he cut her down with blunt words. She was a fraud. Duvall's dislike of Kael began with her review of Tender Mercies in 1983, the movie that won him his only Academy Award for Best Actor. To him, playing Max Sledge, a broken-down country singer searching for redemption, was deeply personal. He poured quiet honesty into the role, avoiding showy acting in favor of raw emotion. Many praised it as a masterpiece of subtle performance, but Kael dismissed it, criticizing the film's slow pace and saying his acting was too restrained. To Duvall, her words felt like a rejection of everything he valued about acting: authenticity, truth, and emotional depth.
I may have, but I can't recall. I may have. I would probably have to say no, but there may have been a time.
His anger grew when he considered Kael's praise of Bonnie and Clyde in 1967. She celebrated its flashy editing, stylized violence, and youthful spirit. But to Duvall, that was the kind of shallow, flashy filmmaking critics like her loved, while ignoring quieter, more heartfelt work. Where she saw revolution, he saw empty noise. Duvall was known for his calm, private nature, not for picking fights. But with Kyle, he didn't hold back. He believed she and critics like her cared more about provocation than understanding, cleverness over real craft. To him, she didn't understand actors at all. By calling her a fraud, he wasn't just attacking her opinions. He was questioning her right to judge. For Duvall, acting was sacred. Criticism, in his view, had to engage with the soul of a film. Cale's failure to do so was unforgivable. His rejection of her was not just personal. It was his defense of honesty in art, a principle he stood by his entire life. If you think Duvall's feud with Cale is intense, then wait until you hear which movie star Duvall couldn't tolerate, and the reason might just surprise you. Let's uncover the story. Number 5. John Wayne. Robert Duvall's long career is filled with memorable roles, but it also carries moments of tension behind the scenes. One of the most talked about clashes came during the filming of True Grit in 1969, a Western that would later become a classic. On that set, Duvall found himself in a bitter conflict with the film's biggest star, John Wayne. Wayne was already a legend in Hollywood, admired by millions for his commanding presence and larger-than-life cowboy persona. But for Duvall, sharing a set with him was not an easy experience. Years later, Duvall spoke honestly about how difficult it was. He bluntly said that Wayne was not a great actor, a statement that shocked many fans at the time. Duvall respected the popularity Wayne had built, but he could not overlook what he saw as shortcomings in Wayne's acting style. The tension went beyond performance. Duvall hated how Wayne carried himself on set, often acting like the biggest authority in the room simply because of his star power. To Duvall, this kind of behavior showed arrogance and disrespect for the craft of acting. He believed every actor, no matter how famous, should work with humility and dedication to the role, not throw their weight around. This clash between the two men became part of Hollywood legend. Wayne's fans defended him, pointing out that his style was exactly what made him iconic. Duvall's followers, on the other hand, admired his courage to speak his mind, even if it meant going against one of the most beloved stars in American cinema. Looking back, the feud on the set of True Grit highlighted two very different approaches to acting. Wayne relied on charisma, presence, and the power of his image, while Duvall demanded depth, realism, and respect for the work. The conflict may have been heated, but it revealed the strong principles that guided Duvall's career and showed why he was never afraid to speak the truth as he saw it. Duvall's clash wasn't just with John Wayne. The next actor might surprise you even more. Let's find out. Number 4. Dustin Hoffman. Robert Duvall did not shy away from speaking his mind about the people he worked with, and one of his most candid remarks was about actor Dustin Hoffman. The two shared the screen in the 1988 film Rain Man, a project that became one of the most famous movies of the decade. While the film itself was celebrated and even won several Oscars, Duvall's experience working with Hoffman was far from smooth. Duvall later described Hoffman as someone who was extremely arrogant and full of himself. He said that dealing with him on set was nearly impossible. According to Duvall, Hoffman often acted as though he was the most important person in the room, and this attitude made collaboration very difficult. Duvall did not hold back when he spoke about the frustrations of working with an actor who he felt did not respect others' contributions or the teamwork needed to make a film. Despite the tension between them, Rain Man turned out to be a massive success. Hoffman's performance as Raymond Babbitt, a man with autism, earned him widespread acclaim, including an Academy Award for Best Actor. The movie also won the Oscar for Best Picture.
We look fortunate.
You got Cleopatra and Caesar over there waiting for you? Come on, Ray.
But all this glamorous merchandise.
Little one for bad, two for good,
Yeah,
huh?
20.
20?
Yeah.
Even though the public saw a polished, brilliant performance, behind the scenes, Duvall's experience was very different. He remembered the difficulties, the egos, and the challenging working relationship that made the production stressful at times. Duvall's comments about Hoffman highlight a broader pattern in his career. He has never been afraid to speak honestly about the people he works with, whether they are co-stars or directors. While some actors are remembered only for their performances, Duvall's honesty reveals a deeper, sometimes uncomfortable truth about what goes on behind the camera. In his eyes, talent alone was not enough to make collaboration easy, and personal arrogance could make even the most successful projects challenging. However, the story of Rain Man is not just about the awards or the performances. It is also a glimpse into the complexities of filmmaking, the clashes of personality, and the ways in which strong-willed actors like Duvall navigate an industry full of equally strong personalities. And how about his face-off with Henry Hathaway? Let's dive in. Number 3. Henry Hathaway. Robert Duvall's long acting career is filled with legendary performances in American cinema, but not every project brought good memories. One of the most difficult moments came in 1969, during the filming of the Western classic True Grit. The movie became famous for finally winning John Wayne an Oscar, but for Duvall, it was remembered mostly for tension and frustration. On set, Duvall clashed with director Henry Hathaway, a veteran filmmaker known for his tough, no-nonsense approach. Hathaway liked full control and had little patience for actors who questioned his authority. Duvall, however, believed deeply in the craft of acting and was part of a new generation trained in method acting, which emphasized realism and emotional truth. From the start, the two men were bound to collide. Duvall later admitted bluntly, "The director and I didn't get along. I don't get along with a lot of directors." He felt Hathaway didn't care about the layered performance he was trying to deliver. Instead of teamwork, there were constant fights. Duvall felt restricted, while Hathaway likely saw Duvall's resistance as arrogance. The atmosphere grew so tense that it affected the entire crew. The conflict even drew in John Wayne, who played Rooster Cogburn. Known for his powerful presence on and off screen, Wayne refused to let the arguments continue.
Well, a fella that carries a big bore Sharp's carbine might come in handy.
According to Duvall, Wayne finally warned him, "If you don't stop arguing with Hathaway, I'm going to punch you out." Whether serious or not, it made clear where Wayne stood. In later years, Duvall avoided badmouthing Hathaway directly, but his brief, dismissive comments, like, "We won't talk about him," showed how deeply the conflict had scarred him. For Hollywood, the feud became part of True Grit's behind-the-scenes history. For Duvall, it remained one of his toughest experiences. Even so, Duvall's professionalism never slipped. His portrayal of outlaw Ned Pepper was intense and memorable, proving his dedication to his craft despite the chaos. The feud highlighted a bigger problem he often spoke about: directors who failed to respect actors. Yet his performance in True Grit showed that even under strain, Duvall's commitment to authenticity always shone through. What about Gene Hackman? Does Ford feel at ease working with him? Let's take a closer look. Number 2. Gene Hackman. Robert Duvall, the celebrated actor known for his intense dedication to his craft, once shared that his relationship with fellow actor Gene Hackman, who had been a close friend, had grown increasingly difficult over time. In interviews, Duvall revealed that Hackman's sharp temper and often abrasive personality sometimes made him hard to be around, even unbearable on certain occasions. The two actors, both giants in the world of cinema, had started their friendship during the early years of their careers, bonding over shared experiences in acting and a mutual understanding of the pressures of Hollywood. Their connection was once strong, built on respect and camaraderie, and they often supported each other in navigating the demanding film industry. However, as time went on, cracks began to appear in their relationship. Duvall explained that Hackman's temper could flare up without much warning. While Hackman was undeniably talented and charismatic, his confrontational style and tendency to clash with others sometimes put a strain on those close to him. For someone like Duvall, who valued calm, focused work environments and respected boundaries on set, Hackman's unpredictability became difficult to manage. The actor described moments where the intensity of Hackman's personality turned what should have been enjoyable collaborations into tense and uncomfortable situations. Despite these challenges, Duvall's reflections were not meant to diminish Hackman's achievements. Hackman remained a highly respected figure in film, celebrated for his range and skill. Yet Duvall's candidness highlighted an important reality. Personal relationships in Hollywood, even between two immensely talented actors, are not immune to friction. Friendships can be tested by differing temperaments and work styles, and even the strongest bonds may falter when personality clashes emerge. However, Duvall's honesty about Hackman's difficult side provides insight into the personal dynamics that can shape the careers and lives of even the most admired performers. Does Duvall feel the same way about Tommy Jones? Let's find out. Number 1. Bruce Beresford. Robert Duvall built a reputation as a serious actor who never compromised on honesty in his performances. This strong commitment often led to conflicts with directors who had different visions. Sometimes the clashes were loud and bitter, as with Henry Hathaway, or in his criticism of Stanley Kubrick. Other times, they were quieter, but just as telling, like during the making of Tender Mercies in 1983, the film that earned Duvall the Academy Award for Best Actor. The movie told the story of Max Sledge, a washed-up country singer trying to rebuild his life in a small Texas town. Duvall's subtle and deeply emotional performance became the heart of the film, praised for its quiet strength. But behind the camera, tension grew between him and director Bruce Beresford. Beresford, known for his calm and thoughtful style, was far from domineering. Yet even with a softer director, Duvall insisted on shaping the film according to his vision. He didn't just act, he fought to protect what he saw as the emotional truth of Max Sledge. He challenged Beresford on pacing, tone, and even edits, often pushing through changes that made his influence almost that of a co-director. At times, he even walked off set in frustration when choices seemed to weaken the character's authenticity. The disagreements were not fueled by ego but by Duvall's intense devotion to the role. For him, Max Sledge wasn't just a character, it was a life he had to fully embody. Beresford later admitted working with Duvall could be difficult, but he also recognized the results. However, the tension did not turn into hostility. Their clashes came from passion, not dislike. Duvall's Oscar win was proof that his stubborn defense of artistic truth paid off. Tender Mercies showed that sometimes the greatest performances come not from harmony, but from creative friction, and Duvall's fight for authenticity remains a defining part of his legacy. So, which of these actors Robert Duvall hated the most did you find surprising? Let us know your answer in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.